Hi, this is Stephanie with High Desert Realty, and today we want to show you the inside of a swamp cooler for those of you who have never seen one. Here it's a four-sided box with 4 different pads, and it also has a fan, and it also has a motor, and it also has a float valve. This float valve is actually what keeps the water at a maintainable level to make sure that you have consistent water going to all 4 of these mesh pads. Right up here we have what's called the spider, and this spider is what's releasing the water onto the pads to make sure that you have cool air going into your unit. This right here is what we call the supply line. For 90% of you, your supply line is hooked up to an exterior faucet on the outside of the house. Okay, go turn it on. So this is what the swamp cooler looks like when it's actually on and running. You can see the spider releasing the water and cooling the pads. It's a super easy concept, but for, again, those of you who haven't seen one, I wanted to go ahead and show you what an inside of a swamp cooler looks like. You will never actually need up on the roof. We will go ahead and take care of all that for you. But this is what it looks like when it's on and running. The final piece of this swamp cooler right here is the release where the water is actually going to go down this drain tube. So this float right here will actually let the swamp cooler know when there's too much water, and it will stop releasing water for the cooling of the pads. If you hear any excessive noises, or if you ever have just hot air blowing in, that means there's something going on with the swamp cooler, like the rain, the spider getting clogged, or the pump's not working, or the float is stuck. So just call me, send in a maintenance request, and let me know if there's any problems with the swamp cooler. It should be fairly quiet and should be flowing cold air. Here on this particular house, we have a programmable thermostat. The pump right here is what's going to make the pads get wet with the water coming from the spider. If you haven't been using the swamp cooler for a few days, or it's the first time we've turned it on for the season, you want to make sure that this pump is on for a good 20-30 minutes to make sure that those pads get nice and soaking wet. Once the pads are wet, you're going to want to go ahead and turn on the blower to actually kick on the fan and get the cold air to come into the unit. This right here, you're going to actually move over to 5 for colder, and over here on 8 for warmer. A lot of units do not have this programmable thermostat. It actually looks like this. So a trick with a swamp cooler that a lot of you are not going to be used to is you have to have windows open. That cold air is going to come into the house, and the warm air needs somewhere to go. So a good indication that you do not have enough windows open is if your front door slams shut, or it's difficult to open. That means I need to go throughout the house, either open up more windows or open up the windows I do have open a little bit farther. That will prevent the suction that happens into the house with the swamp cooler. One other item that I want to go ahead and point out is the swamp cooler drop. That's what this is right here. A lot of units only have one. So in order for that cold air to get out through the entire house, you have to have an open window in that particular room that you want the cold air into. Some of the properties actually have swamp cooler drops in several of the bedrooms, but a lot don't. So if you want cold air into the kitchen, you need to open up a window. If you want cold air into the master, you need to open up a window. Again, if you have any questions, contact me, Stephanie at High Desert Realty. Thank you.